Hello, welcome to my channel. If you have watched my previous tutorial on how to create different sleeve styles, I have demonstrated 8 different sleeve designs. But there are still so many more styles to explore. In this video, I am going to show you more sleeve types you can create with Clo 3D. I hope this will inspire you to create even more exciting designs. So let's dive in. For the first demonstration, I will create a Virago sleeve. This style is a dramatic 17th century inspired style characterized by its voluminous shape, created through a series of gathered or puffed sections along the sleeve. This elegant design adds a touch of historical flair and sophistication to modern garments. In the 3D window, I've uploaded a dress block. Let's start by creating the silhouette of the design that complements this sleeve style. Okay, I have finished drafting the bodice pattern. It's time to create Virago sleeves. First, I need to increase the height and the width of the sleeve cap to create a puff sleeve. Before doing that, I will add a 3-inch point on the front and back sleeve segments. Then do the same on the front and back armhole segments. Remove all the sewing lines around the armhole. Using sewing tool to attach the 3-inch sections to the corresponding armhole parts. Simulate in 3D window. By doing this, I will only add the puffiness to the sleeve cap instead of starting from the underarm. To increase the height of the sleeve cap, click the shoulder point. You can either drag the point upward or, as I prefer, use up arrow key to move the point. Each click will move the point around ½ inch, then use left and right arrow key, move the side points to increase width. Once it's done, use smooth curve tool to reshape the sleeve cap. Connect this section to the armhole with sewing tool. Click Simulate. To better visualize how the sleeve drapes, you can change avatar to a pose. Adjust the sleeve cap height and width until you are satisfied with the appearance. Use smooth curve tool to straighten the sleeve underarm seam and move it to a 90-degree angle. At the hemline, add 3 uniform split points. Use fullness point tool. Create a split line from shoulder point to the center hemline point. Left click, hold, and drag it down to evenly spread the pattern open, then right-click to bring up spread window. Enter the desired distance amount and click OK. Click a start point from back sleeve segment to the back hemline point. Then click one side to rotate, and right-click to bring up spread window. Repeat the same steps for the front sleeve. Click Simulate. You can strengthen the sleeve to help smooth out the fabric during simulation. Once everything is in place, unstrengthen the pattern. Right-click on hemline segment and choose Offset as internal line to add a new line. This line will be the wrist finish. Right-click on the hemline and choose Offset Pattern Outline to add 1.5 inches to the length. Adjust sewing lines on the underarm seams. Select the internal line, right-click and add 3 more offset lines above it, and space them according to your preference. Select all internal lines, add 1 more below them. Select the first set of internal lines, go to Property Editor, turn on Elastic Function, and reduce Ratio Percentage. Click Simulate if there's no issue. Moving on to the second set of internal lines. For this set, I will lower the elastic ratio slightly more than the first set. Simulate to check the fit. Repeat the same steps to finish the remaining internal lines. Once it's done, lower particle distance to 10 and simulate. Readjust the elastic ratios until you achieve the desired look. Change to a different fabric that will enhances the puff style sleeves. For this example, I am using organza. If you want to have puffier Virago sleeve, you can increase the sleeve width more. Now I am happy with the look of the sleeve. Lower particle distance to 5. Simulate and let the fabric drape one last time until it stops moving. Around the armhole gathering, I will add shirring effect. Also, I will apply top stitching to each internal lines and add puckering to give it a more realistic finish. And with that, the Virago sleeve is complete. Now it's time to finish the dress pattern and add details for rendering. The second style I am going to show you is tiered sleeves, a stylish design feature where multiple layers of fabric are stacked to create a cascading, voluminous effect. This versatile sleeve style adds movement and drama to any garment, making it a popular choice for both casual and formal looks. For this demonstration, I will make an off-the-shoulder empire waist dress to go with the sleeve style. First step is to prepare the base sleeve. You need to decide the fit of the underlayer. For this design, I prefer a looser fit, so I will use fullness point tool to add the width to the pattern. Next, use Edit Pattern tool to select Sleeve Hemline, right-click and choose Offset as internal line. I am creating a 4-tiered sleeve. So, in the pop-up window, enter 3 offsets with each line spaced 5 inches apart. Click OK, and the internal lines will appear highlighted in yellow. Right-click and choose Cut and Sew to divide the pattern into 4 sections. Next step is to create the first tier. Starting from the bottom section, select the first piece, which will become the first tier. Use Fullness Line tool, select top and bottom segment lines. Choose both direction in the fullness window. Enter the distance moved amount in fullness line and slash line according to your preference. Freeze the second section of the sleeve. In the 3D window, select first tier piece. Right-click and choose Reset 3D Arrangement to reset its position. If the pattern is too long and wraps around the avatar's arm, go to Property Editor, under Arrangement, Offset, slide the bar to increase the amount. This will open up the pattern. Use Gizmo to place this piece at the bottom of the sleeve. Simulate to check the fit. Right-click on the hemline and choose Offset Pattern Outline to add 1.5 inches to the length. Remove unnecessary points, and use Trace tool to delete all the baselines. And use Edit Sewing tool to revise seam connections. And the first tier is done. To make the second tier, copy and paste the second portion of the sleeve to make a duplicate. Use Fullness Line tool to increase the width of the pattern similar to the first tier or make it slightly wider. And this piece will be the outer layer, while the second portion will become the under panel connecting first and second tier. Add 1.5 inches to the second tier length as well. Always make sure your outer layer is long enough to cover the under panel. Attach the top segment of the second tier to the under layer using Sewing tool. Reset 3D Arrangement in 3D window and place this piece above the first tier. Click Simulate and it fits pretty well. Next, creating the remaining tiers. Repeat the same steps to finish the third tier. For the last tier, since front and back neckline are pretty flat and smooth, I will keep the same for the sleeve. Instead of using fullness line, I will use fullness point to slash open the bottom segment of the pattern. Make sure sewing connections are correct when attaching the final tier to the front and back armholes. Unfreeze all the sleeve patterns and click Simulate to finalize the design. Once satisfied with the design, select all the sleeve patterns, right-click, and choose Symmetric Pattern with Sewing to generate the sleeve for the opposite side. Double-check for any missing sewing lines before simulating the garment. And the tiered sleeve is complete. I can now add finishing details and prepare the garment for rendering. Moving on to next style, Keyhole Sleeves. This style sleeves feature a small keyhole shape cutout near the shoulder or upper arm, creating a stylish opening that adds visual interest. This design is often secured with a button, tie, or decorative trim for a touch of elegance. Making a regular keyhole sleeve is fairly straightforward, so I will skip that and show you 3 variations. First variation is the flare keyhole sleeve. I have made a short sleeve dress in 3D window. Use fullness point tool to increase sleeve width. Once it's done, reshape the hemline with smooth curve tool, and remove slash lines with trace tool. Right-click the hemline and choose Offset Pattern Outline. Add 2 inches to extend sleeve length. Use Trace tool to select baseline and hit Enter to turn it into red internal line. Adjust sewing lines on the sleeve extension part with Edit Sewing tool. Right-click on this internal line and add 2 more offset lines below it. Select all 3 internal lines, turn on Elastic function in Property Editor and reduce ratio until the sleeve fits snugly around the bicep. Lower particle distance to 10 and simulate. Next step is to create the keyhole shape. Use internal polygon tool to draw a line from shoulder point to hemline. Right-click and choose Cut and Sew. Draw a half keyhole on one side of the sleeve. Make the curve finish at the first internal line. Keyhole size is based on your preference. Once you are happy with the size and shape, select the segment. Right-click. Use Copy and Mirror Paste to complete the shape on the other side. Select both internal lines. Right-click and choose Cut, and delete the pieces. Use Add Point Split Line tool to add points along the keyhole curve segment and the top sleeve curve. Then use Fullness Point tool to draw a slash line and spread the piece open. While spreading, right-click to bring out Spread window so you can enter distance amount on each slash line and have even distribution. Then use Smooth Curve tool to reshape the pattern. Repeat the same steps for the other side of the sleeve. Simulate. Adjust the sleeve in 3D window to make sure it draped nicely. Change avatar pose to get a better view of how the sleeve drapes. Adjust sewing connection to add event. Remove all the slash lines with Trace tool. Lower particle distance to 5 and simulate again. Hold Shift and select both center sleeve segment lines. Right-click and choose Merge. Reshape the curve line. If there's no issue, I can start adding finishing touches. For this example, I will add a button at the keyhole closure point. And here is the final render result. The second variation, I will create a row of cutout keyholes along the center of the sleeve. To better showcase this style, I have imported a long sleeve evening dress in the 3D window. Starting by using internal polygon tool to draw a straight line from shoulder point to the hemline. Right-click and choose Cut and Sew. For this design, I will create 7 keyholes. Use Add Point Split Line tool. Under Uniform Split, I will divide the center sleeve seam into 14 segments with 13 points. Here is why I did that. Select every other point along the seam and use left and right arrow key to move the point by the same amount. Then, use Smooth Curve tool, drag these points outward, forming a curved shape for the keyholes. By doing this, all the sewing relation will be removed. To reconnect the points, using Tack tool will leave gaps between points. Instead, I will use Smooth Curve tool to draw a line around 1/4 inches to replace the point. Connect the new segments with Sewing tool. Apply seam tape to reinforce the keyhole curves. Lower particle distance and simulate. To finalize this look, I am going to add a decorative button between each keyhole. And here is the render result. The last variation I will demonstrate is somewhat similar to the second style. However, instead of creating multiple cutout holes, I will add small bows evenly along the sleeve center panel to achieve a keyhole effect. I am using the same evening dress pattern to create this look. First, use internal polygon tool to draw a line from shoulder point to hemline. Right-click on the line and choose Offset as internal line. Enter 1 inch in distance and select Adding Offset line on both sides. Select the 2 side internal lines. Right-click and choose Cut and Sew. This created a 2 inches wide center panel. I will make this panel see-through and add 9 small bows to it. Use Add Point Split Line tool to add evenly spaced points on both segment lines to mark the placement for the bows. Select Rectangle tool and create a 2 inch wide rectangle which is the same width as the center panel. And make the height about double of the finished bow's size. Freeze center sleeve panel. Use sewing tool to attach this rectangle to the first set of segment lines. In 3D window, select the rectangle pattern, right-click and choose Superimpose over. Lower particle distance to 5. Add a center internal line to the rectangle. Select this line, turn on elastic function and reduce the ratio to 50. Click Simulate. The center of the bows looks too bulky. I will adjust the rectangle size and also lower the elastic ratio more. Add a point to top and bottom on the center internal line and bring them inward to shorten the line. This will reduce the bulk at the center and get a nicer gathering. Sew the center of the bows to the center internal line on the panel. This will secure the bow's position and hold the gathering in place. Use copy and paste, select first bow's pattern and generate a duplicate for the second bows. For the second bows, I will skip one set of the segment lines and repeat the same steps to attach it to the panel. Then I will do the same for the rest of the bows. Once all the bows are attached, I will add a button to the center of each bows for a polished finish. And there you have it, a keyhole sleeve design with satin bows. If you prefer a design with actual cutout holes, you can delete the center panel after change to the final presentation pose. Make sure you sew the bows to the front and back panels in this case. Thank you for watching part 2 of this series on how to create different sleeve styles. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore more exciting designs. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a tutorial.